What's up, everybody? It's Pete from Crunch Time Coaching, and today I've got a very interesting video to me and hopefully to you guys too, and that is the next generation. Are they finally going to show up in the desert, right? Are they going to show up? Are they going to grow up in the desert? We're going to go through some interesting first-round matchups, talk about their chances. I want the people who join us on live right now to definitely give your input on what you guys think. If you followed any of my videos, you know I've been very critical of the next generation players because it seems like opportunity after opportunity, they just don't come through and win the big matches. And we just keep seeing Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, no matter how old they get, no matter how many years pass, no matter how much talent comes up, they just refuse to lose, and they always seem to win the biggest matches in the biggest tournaments. And the young guns just cannot seem to break through. And I think that this is an important tournament for our next generation players because they have been showing some signs of life. You know, we're seeing a lot of talent come on the tour. They're getting some really good results in some of the lower tournaments. And then, you know, I thought it was pretty cool that Tsitsipas was, even though I'm a Roger Federer fan, although I love Tsitsipas too, he's just so cool. You know, being able to break through and win against Roger Federer in a big match at a Grand Slam, that was huge. We hadn't really seen that from any next generation player so far. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that I think at the next generation is really going to get a lot of respect. That's the kind of thing that I want to see happen more often, is that they break through, that they win some big matches. And so I think that this is going to be a big tournament for them. And I'm just going to go through, throw out some matchups and give my opinion. If you're watching this, I definitely want you to chime in and let me know. First of all, just let me know if you can hear this. Okay, I believe that Kyrgios looks to be a great surprise at Indian Wells this season. Agree. Okay, so Fabio's asking that, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. He certainly could. He certainly could, but I'm going to give you my opinion on that in a second. But all right, so let's first of all go to some first round matchups of some next geners that I find interesting. Number one is you have Kyle Edmund has a really good chance of playing Francis Tiafoe. And Kyle Edmund, another guy who, to me, at times has looked like he could really do some damage and be a consistent top 10 player, get deep in tournaments. And, you know, yet it seems like, you know, in the majors, it's hard for him to get by the third or fourth round. And he really hasn't been very active on the tour this year. I believe that he has been injured for most of the year. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds and if he can make a splash at Indian Wells. You know, you got to make your move at some point in the year. And this is a good opportunity to see. Francis Tiafoe, now he actually, I've been watching him play for a while now. And to me, it's weird. He's got like a weird looking game, but it is super effective. Not sure how mentally tough he is, you know, how much he's willing to really fight and dig down rather than just make like a good showing, but really win a big match and really show a lot of grit. He had a good Australian Open, and then eventually Rafael Nadal just destroyed him. But at least he showed some potential signs of life. And, you know, we're hearing his name more and more. And it'll be interesting to see that matchup. If I had to pick who I think is a better player, we'll get through that. I'm going to pick Kyle Edmund. And I really don't think either of these two players are going to be a big threat at Indian Wells. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, next I want to get to one person who came on the tour a couple of years ago who got me super excited. And then I'm getting less and less excited about this guy. He's reminding me more and more, and I hate to say, because he's so young, it's really not great of me to do this, but he just kind of is reminding me a little bit. Go Papa Fed. That's right. Duncan says go Papa Fed. Yeah, Fed just keeps going. Looked unbelievable again down in Dubai. Big shout out, number 100 title for Federer. He's just amazing. But okay, Shapovalov. What do you guys think of Denis Shapovalov? He came on the tour a couple years ago. had a huge win against Rafael Nadal. He hit some amazing shots. He is so fun to watch, this guy. Hey, if you're watching this also and you like it, give it some thumbs up and definitely participate. But Shapovalov, his first round match, I think he's got a potential. It's going to show where his game is, because he's going to either play Taylor Fritz, who's another next-gener who, again, he's becoming, to me, less and less relevant. He came on the tour, looked like he was going to be kind of tough, and now, I mean, he just really hasn't shown us much. But if he can beat Steve Johnson, who's a veteran, who is gritty, who fights, he's just got that one-handed slice backhand, but he's got a huge serve and a big forehand. But, you know, he's a fighter and a grinder. So I think whoever wins that match will at least be able to show us if Denis Shapovalov is in good form and will beat a solid tour player. So that'd be interesting. If I had to pick who's going to win, Taylor Fritz or Steve Johnson, you know, Steve Johnson's just had so many more results. And I think Steve Johnson's going to come through there, challenge Denis Shapovalov. So Denis is going to have to be returning well. He's going to have to be ready for a guy who really fights for every point and has a huge forehand. He's going to have to figure out a way to find that slice backhand and pick on it. And let's see how he does. Let me know what you guys think about the future of Denis Shapovalov. But right now, I have some question marks for him. Okay. Now, this one, I think, is maybe the future of tennis, this matchup right here. And it'll be very, very interesting to see who comes through and wins this match. And this is the one guy who has shown me the most potential as far as somebody who likes the big stage, who has the it factor, who has all the shots, who fights and competes match in and match out from what I can tell, and really, really wants it. And that is Tsitsipas. Okay, Tsitsipas is really, really tough. And he might be playing in his first round if Felix can get through it. Felix Auger-Aliassime. And so the mainstream media is going to have to get used to, I think, pronouncing these two incredibly talented players. I think they'll be playing for some huge titles in the future. And I think that this is going to be an interesting and tough matchup for Tsitsipas, because he's used to having the spotlight on him and kind of the up-and-comer. And for the most part, since no one's broken through yet, it's like a pleasant surprise. He's starting to get deep in tournaments and win some tournaments. And so always kind of viewed a little bit as the underdog still, and big because he's still so new on the tour. So he goes up against a Rafael Nadal or Roger Federer. He's still the new kid on the block, still the great up-and-coming talent. And mostly viewed as an underdog in high-profile matches. And I think that a lot of people are going to be interested in seeing this, because Felix just got to his first ATP final at 18 years old. He's the youngest to ever get to a ATP 500 final. And he has a lot of talent. Reminds me a lot of Djokovic, as far as he's an excellent mover, has similar ground strokes to me, and has that ultimate rally ball. So I think this is going to be a great match. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Tsitsipas. It'll be interesting to see how Tsitsipas accepts the pressure as being the favorite in a high-profile match against somebody who is capable of pulling a big upset, but it's going to be such an X factor. We have no idea how Felix at 18 years old is going to respond to playing one of the hottest players on tour. And so it'll be interesting to see how much game Felix truly does have against one of the hottest players on tour. I'd have to say he's top 5 player right now as far as like results this year in 2019. And, you know, I would love to see Felix at least take it to 3 sets. And if Tsitsipas can just like thump him and act like he's no big deal, then that's going to be a big statement. This is a big statement match for all the future next geners to see, you know, where everybody is at. Okay, so Tsitsipas, I look to have a chance. What up, Matty B from Coffee Break Tennis? What do you think of this Felix Matt. And by the way, Matt Bradshaw maybe just put up his best episode ever of Coffee Break Tennis when he talked about Nick Kyrgios is the very Trumpian character, and it was very well done. So Matt, that was awesome. Okay, next one. This is going to be interesting. You got Alexander Zverev possibly playing his brother Misha, and so I think it's always tough. What up, Matt? I think it's always tough when you have brothers and sisters playing each other. Do you really think Felix is much like Djokovic? Yes, I do, Matt. I really do think so, because Felix to me has the same kind of style strokes. He's an excellent mover, and he's very technically sound. One thing I remember about Djokovic growing up, when he was growing up, 18 years old, I looked at his game and I go, man, he's just so technically perfect. And when I watch Felix, I feel the same way. Maybe he goes for a little too much at times, but sometimes he kind of bears down and looks very, very Novak to me. So it'd be interesting to see. Moving on to Alexander Zverev, though, playing his brother, we always know that the Williams sisters tend to play really terrible tennis against each other because the nerves are there. And so it's going to be interesting if Alexander has to play his brother, because not only is it playing your older brother who you always look up to, but also playing a really, really weird style of play. So by now at this point, Alexander, since his brother will be the first one to say, you know, Alexander's a much better player. It seems like Misha is Alexander's biggest fan. Like, he just seems like a really cool big brother and is always, you know, praising his little brother and saying how awesome he is. But I don't know about their practice matches. I mean, has Alexander just figured him out to where he just thumps him in practice and Misha has no chance? Or is that really crafty, kind of old school net rushing game going to be a lot of pressure playing your brother on the tour? And, you know, all the pressures, obviously, interestingly enough, on the younger brother. Usually it would be on the older brother who would feel the most pressure, but the younger brother clearly is going to be feeling some pressure. And I think this is a big opportunity for Alexander in the desert to, again, show that he is one of the best next generation players in the world and could be competing for Grand Slams very soon, hopefully in the next year or two. Wally says, Felix looks nothing like Joker. His forehand is identical to Federer. I don't know about – well, I'm talking one thing, too. When I look at Felix's stroke, he's got that nice top – the height over the net. He's definitely got more topspin going on than Federer as far as the ball going higher than that and dropping in. I like the way his ball looks. Fed, Sampras hit the scene big, then dropped off, struggled to replicate their performances immediately. Youngsters today may be the same. I'm going to totally disagree with that, especially with Sampras. I mean, Sampras won the U.S. Open his first chance out, and he really didn't – it wasn't that much longer before he came back and was winning Grand Slams. I mean, he pretty much made the most out of his time, and maybe you could say that a little bit more about Federer. Okay. Next one. This guy is a workhorse, and he's starting to become almost not like a next generation player, and that is Dominic Thiem. He is, to me, becoming dangerously close of running out of time, missing his window of opportunity to really make his statement, and he's got to do it soon. You would think at some point that Dominic Thiem would break through because he is so talented. He does seem to be an incredibly hard worker. If you ever go to his YouTube channel and watch him train, he trains like a beast. They say he plays so many so many matches. He really wants it. So it'll be interesting to see if Dominic Thiem can do anything here in the desert. Now, what's working against him is he's playing on hard courts. He's much more comfortable on clay. But I'm going to keep shouting out my buddy Matt Bradshaw. Matt Bradshaw put out a video, I think, today talking about how the desert, they're slowing down the courts even more this year. So, you know, all these tournaments are almost becoming like clay court tournaments without playing on the clay, but these guys can even slide on the hard court. So it really is becoming similar to this. And so you would think that that would help Dominic Thiem. I think this year, especially at the French Open, is a huge year for him. He has to do very, very well and at least get to semifinals or finals to build up his confidence and build on that. You know, I think he's you know, you don't want to say at 25 someone's running out of time, but look at Dimitrov. We kept waiting for Dimitrov to break through, thinking he's too talented. He's got to do something. And Dominic Thiem seems to be going down that same scale to me. And interestingly enough, you know, I think that match that he lost in the Dow at the U.S. Open was heartbreaking. Just kind of like Dimitrov a couple of years ago. Dimitrov had to win that match against Nadal. That was not a learning experience match. That match literally, to me, looks like it crushed his career, and he hasn't been the same since. And since this year, right now, Dominic is 3-4 in match play this year. So he's having a very disappointing start of the year. He really needs to show a spark at this tournament. Let's see what else. Thiem needs to find another coach. His forehand is too loopy and circular. Well, you might be right for you know, these guys are hitting through the court. And so I think that's a good point. I think is baked into the cake. It will never change, says Matt. Okay, Matt says he can't change his forehand. It's too late. You know, he's got to hope that since these courts are playing slower and slower, that it will still be okay for him. Okay, another guy who is really showing some nice results in the last year or so. I think he's number 11 in the world right now, and that's Coric or Coric. I think it's Coric, and he's playing the dream killer, Ivo Karlovic, in the first round. Well, he might play Ivo, I should say. I think Ivo has to win first, but you know, that's going to be, I think, a nightmare matchup for somebody like Borna, who likes to stay way back. He's small. You know, I don't know how he's going to return Ivo Karlovic's serve, because he doesn't seem to me to have the best return. It seems like when he gets into a rally, he's awesome, but he doesn't have the best return. He doesn't have the biggest serve. I know Ivo likes to basically play Russian roulette the whole match, do lots of chips and try. He's going to put a lot of pressure. So, you know, what do you guys think, first of all, against that one matchup, if Borna Coric ends up playing Ivo Karlovic, who will win that match? And then what do you think of his overall future in the game? It looks to me like he's like he's got a little bit more power fire than a David Ferrer. And David Ferrer had a great career, but I picture Borna having one of those careers kind of like a David Ferrer, where he's always like, or a Nishikori. He's always in the conversation. He's always talented. A lot of people like him. But when it comes to like going all the way 2 weeks, 3 out of 5 sets, I just don't see him holding a big trophy in the next couple of years, or maybe ever. So I want to know what you guys think of him as a player. He's 22 years old. He just got schooled by Federer, which was a great revenge match for Fed. So it'll be interesting. Okay, guys, let's see. Can Ivo even run anymore? It seems like he's only a serving machine. That's true, Wally, but all he needs to do is be a serving machine, and he still is a dream killer. He still can upset anybody on any given day, because, you know, it's pretty much a given that the set's either going to be like a 7-5 or 7-6 set, and anything can happen then. So, you know, I don't think anybody wants to play a guy like that in their first round. But the courts are slowed down, so maybe that will help him return that monster serve. Okay, I'm sure everybody wants to hear my opinion on Nick Kyrgios. So Nick Kyrgios just moved up from like 70-something to number 31 in the world, and beat a lot of them. I mean, really incredible when you think about it. Everybody that he beat in that tournament, Djokovic, Nadal, I mean, wow. Isner, Wawrinka, amazing run, you know. Has any next gener even come close to doing that kind of performance? Beating literally legends back to back is pretty awesome. But this is exactly, to me, his kryptonite is he's got to play some really solid players, low profile players in the first round who are very capable of taking him out. And that is Pierre Hebert, I believe that's how you say it. And he's got a very solid game. He's not that far ranked behind Kyrgios. He's 44 in the world. He's a tall, lanky guy. He's got huge strokes. He's got big weapons. He moves well. Nice all-court player. Big firepower off the two-hander. Can hit the two-hander, drive the two-hander down the line very well. Or he might play Philip Kohlschreiber, who is 39 in the world at 35 years old. I don't think a lot of people realize what a freakish achievement that is, since we're so used to now hearing about Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, and of course the great Roger Federer playing so well in their 30s. What Philip Kohlschreiber has done is basically played his entire career almost in the top 50 in the world, definitely top 100, year after year after year, and now he's 35, he's 39 in the world. That is one of the most underrated achievements in tennis. And so I just want to just acknowledge that and say what an amazing achievement that is. And certainly a guy like that, if he plays Nick Kyrgios, he has a lot of firepower. He competes very well. He competes hard. He's certainly, after playing on the tour so long, will kind of know how to get in somebody's head like a Nick Kyrgios. I don't think Nick Kyrgios will intimidate him with his silly antics and in between the leg drop shots. I don't think that would faze him. So I think that it's going to be a big test to see if Nick Kyrgios is going to, show up in the desert, or is, now's your time, Nick. Grow up right now, build off your big win, and show everybody that you can come back and do it again. Because we all know that Nick can shine on the big stage. It seems to be what he does best. He seems to be the least intimidated by the legends of any of the young Jenners. In fact, I think he has a winning record against almost all of them, which is amazing. But then yet he can go out and lose to just about anybody on tour. And he's going to have a tough first round match. These guys are really good players. So what do you guys think? Will Nick Kyrgios, finally show up and keep going? Or is he going to just do what he typically does and burn out early in the desert? It's a big tournament. It's one of the most prestigious tournaments besides the Grand Slam tournament. So, the big guns are going to be there. Everybody wants to win it. It's a longer tournament to where it's kind of like a week and a half rather than a week. And the weather's going to be hot, I'm sure. So a lot of things that will have Nick, really testing his guile to see, how willing is he going to be to compete. So, no jet ski pre-match warm-ups, I don't think. Right, Matt? So that's it. Now, of course, our regular guys who are just always there, that's Roger Federer. Oh, I forgot to mention another guy who I would love to see break through, and that's Karen Khachanov. This guy hits a huge ball and enormously talented. And when I watch him play, he looks like he is a fighter, but yet he had a great match against Rafael Nadal at the U.S. Open this last year. He's the 12th seed. He's going to have a tough first-round match against two veterans, either Feliciano Lopez or Tomic Berdych. I think that will be a big test for him. If he gets through that, maybe he could make some damage. I would like to see this guy catch fire, and I think maybe what he needs is confidence. I don't know if he needs confidence, patience, or better conditioning. He needs something that he's missing, because he certainly has the game to do it. Let's see. Jet ski, Nick. Yeah. Nick's motivated to play the Joker. He'll get to the third round, says Wally. Okay. And Joker does not seem to match up well against Nick Kyrgios. Djokovic, who's interestingly enough the greatest returner of all time, it seems like Nick Kyrgios' serve, he has no read on it. I watched him play. Was it last year or the year before? He played Kyrgios in the desert, and Kyrgios had his way with him pretty good. So I've never really seen Novak just dominate his serve, which normally that's how Djokovic really frustrates you. It seems like he just always can read your serve, and he's either taking the point on offense right off the return, or it's starting on neutral, and then he quickly takes over the rally. So he hasn't really been able to do that much against against Kyrgios. So if he gets to the third round, that would be a big, big match. And again, I don't think Kyrgios minds at all. I don't think he looks at the draw and ever goes, oh crap, I got to play Federer. Oh no, I got to play Djokovic. How unlucky. He looks at people he's never heard of and goes, oh, that sounds boring. You know, like I'm not even interested. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets to the third round. Okay. Anyway, I want your opinion on Khachanov. Matt, what do you think of Khachanov? I am wanting this guy to show up at some point and go deep. I like him. He's got huge firepower, huge serve, moves pretty good for a big guy. I guess that would be a liability, and maybe a bit inconsistent. Something's missing there that's holding him back. Of course, we've got to talk about the people everybody loves. You know, you got to look at a sleeper, Kevin Anderson. We're not talking about next geners anymore, but Kevin Anderson, the 5th seed, somehow, no matter what the guy does, he's been to a couple of Grand Slam finals now. He's always flying under the radar, even at 5 in the world. You know, what do you think about his chances at Indian Wells? He's a guy who always fights, always competes, and you know, if he's serving well, he's got great ground strokes. He's a tough out. I mean, you're going to have to beat him. You're going to have to take him out to shake hands and be a winner. Yeah, he's fun to watch, but he's been struggling all this year. His forehand is so Western. It's a bit ugly, but the power is exciting, says expert analyst Matt Bradshaw. Okay, let's get to what everybody wants to talk about. Who has the best chance out of Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic? What happened to Chung? I agree. I was looking through the draw, and he is not in the draw. Is he hurt? Matty B, can you tell us, is he hurt? Anyway, Federer looked incredible in the desert in Dubai. You know, it is a big tournament. He won his 100th, title. I think it's tougher to win in the desert. It just seems to have more weight. Not that Federer's, intimidated by that, but I think when you get to Indian Wells, it's one of those tournaments that a Rafael Nadal, a Novak Djokovic, a Roger Federer, a Stan Wawrinka, all the next geners, they really, really want to win it. It's like they're trying to peak for this tournament before they go to the clay. I think they even look at this as a bigger deal than Miami. I'd like to know what you think about it. I think if they're going to put all their energy into one tournament, they're going to put as much energy as possible into winning Indian Wells. And so, can Federer beat a Novak Djokovic when Novak Djokovic is fully geared and has his full attention on the game? Can he do that to Rafa? I don't know. He certainly looked pretty awesome in Dubai. Like, he is still his old self. He's coming to the net even a little bit more. He's never been the same since Feds waxed him this year. Chung needs to take off his shades and be taken to be taken seriously, says Wally. That's pretty funny. He's not in the tournament though. Is he out of the? Is he just not ranked high enough, or is he hurt? That's what I want to know. So I want to know, guys, if you had to pick one, who's going to win? Djokovic, Federer, or Nadal? One of the things I guess we have to. Djokovic is 10-1, so I mean it's not a big question. But is there any danger of getting complacent again, kind of like he did after he won the French Open? He got to a point where he looked unbeatable. He won the Australian Open. He won Wimbledon. The year before, he had like an amazing year, and then he went to No, he won the French Open. It was after he won the French Open, and then he goes to Wimbledon, and that's when he just went downhill after he looked like he might win all 4 Grand Slams. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. So, I mean, is there that possibility, or is Novak now locked and loaded on chasing history and not really going to lose his focus and be there all the time, competing for the Grand Slams and trying to catch Rafa and Roger? I would bet against Rafa. got badly beaten by Joker. Now this makes, yeah. And then at Mexico, he lost to Kyrgios. So I think this tends to be a time of the year where Rafa does not do great. And then the clay court season kind of saves his year. So I'm going to agree with that. I think that that's a really good assessment there. So I think out of the three, Rafa might not do great, get totally remotivated, re-energized again on the clay court and dominate. And that can really always kind of save his year. Duncan, Mr. Goat likes Djokovic a little bit more than Nadal. Mr. Goat, check out Matt's Instagram. There's a nice picture of Mr. Goat there. You can check him out. Let's see. Chung pulled out due to an injury. Okay, so Chung's injured. So I don't think he would have made a big deal anyway. Rafa has won Indian Wells 4 times. So he's won it 4 times. So he can win it a 5th time. I want to know what you think. I think that it's just so hard to vote against Djokovic these days. He is just it seems to me, I feel this way. I don't know if everybody will agree. It seems to me when Djokovic is playing at his best, he is unbeatable. Federer, when he's playing at his best, is the most fun to watch, and he's almost unbeatable. But Djokovic is literally like playing against a wall who can hit winners against you when he's unbeatable. Like, he's not going to miss at all. Like, he can play matches with less than like 5 unforced errors. And he can also light you up with winners out of nowhere. He can hit the backhand down the line on you. He'll pass you when you come to the net. You know, he's gonna slide into a full split and hit an incredible shot. So you just can't hurt the guy when he's at his best. And Federer, since he is always taking chances, even at his best, he's still going to throw in some errors. He's coming to the net, so he's a target that can be passed. And so I think that if Djokovic plays his best in this tournament, he's going to win. He's the favorite. I think he's on a mission to chase the record books. A lot of these guys don't want to admit that they are. They kind of downplay that. Federer even downplayed winning his 100th title, saying it's great achievement, but that's not really why he plays anymore. I think Federer definitely, I agree that he maybe has a little bit of that mentality, but the guy plays. He wants to play for the record books. He wants to keep all his records. He wants to keep adding to his records. Don't let that modest act fool you. Federer hates to lose. If Federer didn't hate to lose so much, he wouldn't win so much, because let's face it, tennis is a hard game. And if there's ever a sign of you're tired, or, you might be a little bit injured, you want to break or whatever. I mean, Federer has so much money, has so many titles that if he didn't hate to lose so much, it'd be so easy for him to just say, I'm just going to let this one go. But he never lets matches go, guys. He just he has a much deeper competitive side, and I think, although he'll never say it, a hatred of losing that we just don't appreciate and underestimate. I think Federer hates to lose more than we realize. I think he just loves the beauty of the game of tennis, but he is a fierce competitor. So anyway, that's it for this live broadcast. Continue to comment. Thanks so much for joining this. My next gen pick for the tournament is Tsitsipas to break through, and my legend is Djokovic. My second pick would be Federer, and I hope it's a great tournament. I think that the year's off to a great start, and so I'd really love to see some high-profile either legends in the final or some new young guns. One thing I don't want to see, I don't want to see a John Isner, Donald Young final, which we're not going to see a Donald Young final, but we might like see I don't even want to see an Isner Anderson final. None of that. Okay. Don't want to see that. I want to see either our legends or the future of the game in the final. Last question. Do you think Djokovic at his best beats Fed at his very best on every surface? That's a good question, Matt Bradshaw. And I will say he will beat him on clay. He will beat him on hard court, but he will not beat him on grass because Federer will come to the net and have that old school tennis give him a little bit more advantage on the grass. In fact, my vote is so Federer can win another Grand Slam or two. Let's bring back that 1990 grass court. Okay, let's do it for Fed. Come on now. All right, guys. Everybody have a good one. I'm going to figure out how to turn off this live broadcast.